Welcome to the Bitter to Better podcast, dedicated to transforming heartbreak into healing. I'm Angie, and I'm thrilled to be joined by a panel of incredible divorce professionals who are here to guide you through the tumultuous journey of divorce and lead you toward a brighter, more fulfilling future. In each 30-minute episode, twice a week, Wednesday evenings and Sunday mornings, we'll dive deep into the challenges, emotions, and lessons that come with divorce. Whether you're navigating the legal labyrinth, managing co-parenting conflicts, or simply looking to rebuild your life, we've got invaluable insights and inspiring stories lined up just for you. So if you're ready to shift from the bitterness of ending relationships to the empowerment of starting anew, you're in the right place. Let's turn those difficult chapters into stepping stones toward a better tomorrow. Welcome to this episode and our fabulous panelists for today's episode. We have Dominique, Chris, and Tracy with us today. Ladies, if you wouldn't mind doing a quick intro on who you are and what you do, let's get this party started. Dominique.
Sure, thanks. I'm Dominique Laundrie. I'm a heart-centered divorce strategist and conscious relationship coach, and I help women navigate every stage of divorce without regret.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Chris?
Hi, Angie, and hi, everyone. I'm Chris Calla. I'm the founder of the Wilderness Compass and a transformational life and divorce coach. I help women, and I specialize with helping women navigate each stage of divorce and move forward with clarity, confidence, and a renewed sense of purpose. The mission is really to just guide the women through these challenging transitions, supporting them as they rediscover themselves and design the life that they really want to live.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Chris. And Tracy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tracy. I'm Sassy Success. I'm a business and life coach for fempreneurs or for want to be fempreneurs. So if you're ready to maybe create an income from home, if you're a stay-at-home mom, or you just want to work from home, spend more time with your kids, I'm the one to help you do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Miss Sassy herself. All right. So this episode is practical strategies to move forward. So in the last episode, we tapped into the power of mindset. We dove into how our thoughts shape our lives, especially during life's toughest transitions. Today, we're going to equip you with practical strategies to reclaim your life and rediscover your joy. From actionable steps to foster emotional resilience, to tips on establishing a supportive community. And we're going to guide you in turning this challenging moment into an opportunity of growth. So first of all, we want to look at acknowledging the emotional journey. So Chris, I want to bring you to the forefront here. How can we validate, or what's the importance of validating those feelings post-divorce? Because we say the emotional roller coaster, and it's really, you can go from 0 to 100 in the blink of an eye and vice versa.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's really important to be prepared for all of the ups and downs in this process, Angie, and they're going to come in different waves. There's one thing I can say: this emotional journey is definitely not linear. It'll move you back and forth, kind of. It's one of those roller coasters that doesn't just go straight. It's one that kind of goes up and down and backwards, and then maybe even does one of these. And for those of who are just not seeing this, I'm spinning my hand around like the Gravitron. I don't know if you remember that Gravitron ride that we used to ride when we were kids, but where you're stuck up against the wall and you can't move at all. So that to me is how it felt like when I went through my divorce. I had so many different conflicting emotions at different times. And they manifest in a whole bunch of different ways. And I think the most prepared we can get for these things is really just understanding that it's completely normal to feel all of the feelings. first and foremost. Acknowledging those feelings is a very, very powerful first step to moving forward. And then really helping, and this is what I do with my clients, is just seeing where those feelings are manifesting from, where they're showing up in your body, how they can manifest unexpectedly in your life, in your day-to-day life, where it could be something as simple as, like for me, one time I was walking in the grocery store in an aisle that I remembered being with my ex-husband in. And all of a sudden I was standing there holding a can of something, I forget what, but I looked down and I just started burst out crying and I couldn't stop. And I didn't understand why. I was in a great mood right before that. And I guess I realized that I remembered a conversation that he and I had had in a similar aisle, and it kind of triggered something. So having those emotions are very, very raw sometimes, but they can also be a very telling source of what we need to work on to move forward.
Absolutely. And you know what? Sometimes we don't realize we can't even name or label that feeling that we're having. So can you maybe go over some of those different emotions?
Yeah.
And sometimes when you hear it, it's like, oh, that's what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the top ones that I find myself and my clients going through are, first and foremost, a lot of confusion. It can be confusing to be in a new relationship outside of yourself, outside of we, and just with yourself. I think that is a whole identity shift that occurs in conjunction with this. And when you are going through those changes and you're experiencing those emotions, you don't have that sounding board of person to kind of go back to and talk with. That can get confusing sometimes for you, and you don't know where to go next. Your people change as well. And so that may cause some grief or even feelings of guilt for you, because your friend group may suddenly change after a divorce. Your community involvement may change. And even something as simple as going to your house of worship, if you go to something like that, you're used to sitting with a certain group of people or what have you, and you may just have all these feelings coming up and you're not sure how to manage them or label them. But the most common ones that we do see are a lot of grief, a lot of anger, a lot of confusion, and sometimes even guilt, because you don't know why things are happening, or you try to assign blame possibly to someone or something. And even shame sometimes will come in. And I know that's a powerful emotion that has happened a lot with both myself and the clients that I've worked with, is really working through that shame, working through those feelings of disconnected to accountability and responsibility for moving forward past that, and just taking what we've learned and helping ourselves kind of position it in a better way. And we talked about that a lot last week in our episode with mindset, and how to pivot and shift that a little bit. But really just understanding that, like, a lot of these emotions can come from a place of surprise sometimes, and they may throw us off guard. And just having a plan in place of what to do and how to process them. I know journaling has been extremely helpful for me and my clients. I know that, just working through those types of things have, in that way, just expressing it and acknowledging it is really the first place to start.
Fabulous. And that really does bring us into our next topic area, or what we're going to speak on, which is moving into those practical strategies of what to do. And Tracy, I think you would have some insight, as we all likely do, on how to pivot, like Chris had mentioned. What can we put in place as far as self-care practices to kind of just shift, even just a little bit, into that different area of moving forward?
Yeah, so having been there myself twice, there's lots of things that you can do just to start. Some of them can feel very overwhelming. Even the little things can feel overwhelming. So, just the obvious things physically, start with getting plenty of rest, because sometimes when you get so overwhelmed with emotions, it feels like no amount of rest is enough, right? And so taking care of yourself, getting enough water, getting enough nutrients. Angie asked me to bring my favorite beverage here today, which is whiskey, but it's way too early in the morning for that. So maybe killing a bottle of wine at night is not the best plan. Taking care of your body is the first defense to taking care of your emotions and your soul. Okay. And so, having said that, mentally, stop obsessing about the things that come up. When thoughts come in, we don't need to own them, and we don't need to stay with them, and we don't need to hash it over and over and over. Thoughts produce feelings, which produce actions, which produce results. So when a thought comes in, don't allow it to take up space in your mind. Push it away. Distract yourself and find something else to think about, something to do. Take a social media break, right? We can get into finding out what those ex-family members are doing. If there's OW obsessing about some of these things, shut them off. Just like turning off a television station, and have kindness and compassion to what you're bringing into your space. And emotionally. So these things are going to help you emotionally, because the more bandwidth that you can open up to not just process your anger, your confusion, your sadness, like Chris was talking about, but open up a space to where you can actually invite in and make space for some joy. Take some time to enjoy little moments with your kids that you might not have had before. Take some time to smell your coffee and just like really embody that. It's the small moments right now that could be the biggest ones for you.
I love that. And you know what? We can get so caught up in that stressful moment that when somebody says joy, it's almost like that stop moment where it's like, I don't even know what that is. I don't know what that is. But we can have a support network that can help in that area. Yeah. So Dominique, can you share a little bit about how building a support network is important, and how that can help?
Yeah, for sure. Well, here's the key, is that who you put in your network matters. And sort of to come back to, well, it's a mindset piece, and also to come back to what Tracy was saying, is that you want to be really selective about who you build into your support network. Because if you're wanting to move forward in a positive way, if you're wanting to bring more joy into your life, and you're wanting to even just doing some of the things that Tracy mentioned, you're going to want to bring people into your life who are going to support what it is you're trying to do, people who are going to support the way you want to move forward. And I know we're going to touch on that here when we, I think Tracy's going to talk about, the vision that you have for your life moving forward. It's important to keep that vision in mind as you build your support network, so that you bring people close to you who are going to lift you up, and who are going to support you in that vision, not pull you down and take you away from that. And that means inviting people in who aren't always going to tell us what we want to hear, but who are going to tell us what we need to hear. And so it's really important to be fussy and to be really intentional. I think fussy maybe isn't even the right word. It's about being intentional. Just like if you're wanting to lose weight, you're going to be intentional about the foods that you put in your body. You're going to choose one over the other, knowing that one food's going to get you closer to your goal and the other's going to get you further away from it. The people that you put into your support network are the same. Be really intentional. When I spend time with Jane, do I leave feeling bitter and angry and like a victim? Or when I spend time with Jane, do I feel positive and excited about my life going forward? And do I feel like I have more agency, feel more empowered than like a victim? Those are the questions you want to ask yourself, and that's how you want to make those choices. Yeah.
Absolutely. And even to bring in different modalities that would be supportive to you is another way. Like it's incredible how what you think then becomes like part of who you are.
100%.
So in that, setting those goals, that is key as well. So what kind of goals? Just to elaborate on that a little bit, I guess that's, you covered a little bit of that, but what type of goal would be forefront in somebody's mind as they're moving through this?
So what I do with my clients is I get them to begin with crafting a vision for their future. The clearer you can get on the life you want to create for yourself 6 months, 12 months, 3 years out, the clearer you can get on that vision, coming back to the weight loss thing. If you know you want to gain 20 pounds versus lose 20 pounds, if your vision is one over the other, your goals and the steps you're going to take to move forward are going to be really different. So the clearer you can get on the vision that you have for your life going forward, then you're going to reverse engineer a plan to get you from where you are to where you want to be. And the goals that you set are going to be milestones, goals, incremental goals that you set along the way to get you closer. So if, depending on what your vision is, you're going to have different goals. What's important is to set your goals intentionally. Ask yourself what is important to you going forward and what you want your life to look like, not what someone else thinks you should be doing or what someone else thinks you should be wanting. And so in terms of goals, you want to, and I know in the beginning, it feels almost impossible to think in terms of creating a future that actually made me better than your past. I always say there's got to be a silver lining to this divorce stuff. And when a marriage ends, whether it was your choice or someone made that choice for you, if you want, it can be a catalyst for some incredible change. If you choose to allow it, you can create a life going forward that's better than anything you ever had in the past. But in order to do that, you've really got to be intentional, and you've got to say, what do I want my life to look like? And what do I need to do today to get me one step closer to that goal, to that outcome in the end? Yeah.
100%, and it's little things. Tracy touched on that too, celebrate those little things, because before you know it, all those little things add up to be, this huge monumental outcome that is going to produce joy, so much joy in your life. And that goes into specific techniques or practices. I know you mentioned some things as far as the, that intention. Tracy, can you add to that a bit as far as specific practices or techniques that can move us from that carrot from the cheesecake rather to the carrot?
Well, that certainly would be a switch in behavior for me to take a carrot instead of a cheesecake. That that would be a miracle all by itself. But one of the things is changing your patterns. So in my business coaching, we talk a lot about the emotional stuff, and often if you can take a step back, you can notice patterns. And patterns can look like what your behavior is in a certain day. It can look like what it looks like over a week, or it can look like over the course of a year or several years, right? And noticing those patterns and finding ways to change the patterns is a big deal. So for me, finding something different, like hobbies. I was always a working mom, and I was the basic breadwinner in a relationship that was terrible. So this whole work from home, create my life that I love was not going to happen in this marriage. And neither was things like having hobbies, creative outlets, or anything for me. So when I found myself divorced, single mom, not even co-parent, just single mom, he just like flat out abandoned us in every single way. It was my opportunity to take a step back and create some time for me. So things like painting, dancing, whatever floats your boat as far as that creative energy, and give yourself some new space in a new way, creating new patterns and new neural pathways in your brain. I'm not going to go into the science of that because that's all boring, but this is what it does and creates lasting change. So for me, one of the things I did was I started to write. Chris alluded to it earlier. You can see it down here, right here. It says Dream Life Journal. I started journaling, but I also got involved with a group where I actually became the author of my first book. And in writing my first book, I was asked for 3,500 words. I wrote 10,000. And in that 10,000 was almost the biggest therapy of my whole life. Writing, stopping to cry, emoting all this energy out of me, putting it down on paper was such a huge, huge move for me. And as far as specific techniques or practices, I'm going to give you one more. And this is not going to make me a popular person. So you ready? Forgiveness. I'll bet you don't feel ready to forgive. But what I want you to know is that forgiveness is not for the other person. It's not to absolve them. It's not to say what they did is okay. It's not to make them out to be the good guy and you the bad guy. No, forgiveness is for you to allow the hatred, the anger, the grief to go. Forgiveness is for you. Mm-hmm. And so you might not be able to do that today, but think about that. Forgiveness is for you.
That's so beautiful. And it was life-changing for me when I heard that. And because you always, when I was growing up, and I was taught that you forgive somebody else because, because they're not wrong or whatever. But when you allow that, wow, does that open up your heart space? Does it ever? So what about some resources for the viewers in our audience? If we can kind of do round circle here and each say maybe one amazing resource that helped in your own healing, and I'll end off with one of mine. Dominique, what's something for you that was a great resource?
Well, for me, I think it's important to find the resource that is easier for you to use. So I'm a huge reader, so I read a ton of books, but that's not for everyone. I think one of the most practical resources that I use to this day, my first divorce was 20 years ago, and this resource wasn't there then, is an app called Insight Timer. So Insight Timer, if for those of you who don't know about it, is there's a free and a very, very, very small investment price paid version, but the free version is amazing on its own. It's called a meditation app. I mean, I think that's how it's referred to, as a meditation app, but it's so much more. Meditation and journaling is, for me, everything. And the meditation piece, I mean, journaling is everything. Pen to paper, you change the world, pen to paper. But the meditation piece allows you to get quiet so that you can tap into what that voice inside of you is trying to tell you. We have all the answers inside of us. We know what to do. We know what is right for us. We just don't hear it. So the meditation piece allows you to get quiet so that you can put pen to paper and then see your thoughts on paper. But the insight meditation can be, I don't want to talk too long. Meditation can be off-putting for people. It's really just about creating some space to be quiet. And what I love about the Insight Timer app is that like there's music. So yes, there's guided meditations, and there's short meditations, and there's long meditations, and there's meditations for every style. So if you've never even dared to meditate, go to the app. There's all kinds of levels for you. And there's music that allows you to just create that space, even if meditation sort of feels daunting to you. Anyway, I have that thing going all day, every day, really.
Awesome. Chris, what is a resource or a mode of healing that you find works for you?
Yeah, so one of the things that I try to work with my clients on is actually dating themselves. Taking the time to before, because I don't know about the rest of you, but there are many people I've worked with, and I've repeated this pattern in my previous history. I would jump from a relationship to a relationship because I wanted to, just immediately heal that way. So I do a challenge where I encourage clients to date themselves and give themselves time to discover who they are and fall in love with ourselves. And I do that in a way that is extremely rooted and grounded in gratitude. It's very much focused on going beyond surface level type of activities, and really just finding out what brings you, like you were talking about earlier, joy. And what is it that because you're going to attract what you are already a part of. So if you're coming from a place of still feeling hurt or grieving or wounded or unresolved, the best investment you could ever give yourself is to invest in knowing who you really are and what you really love, and how you can show up for yourself in regardless of who else is in your life. And so just going through a process of creating goals around dating yourself is how I helped myself, most importantly, and now how I help others. So it's not specifically a resource somebody can go buy on a bookshelf. There are lots of books that I've read as well. The Mountain is You by Brianne Weist or something like that. I forget how to pronounce her name, but that was a game changer for me. And The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown was another huge eye-opener for me as well. So a lot of internal dealings and getting back to SMART goals. Just also whenever you make a change in your life that you're trying to move forward, make sure it's something that you can have that's measurable, and something that you can have accountability with as well, so that you can stay focused on your progress.
Fabulous. Absolutely. That intention is always there, right? That choice. Tracy, what's a resource that you use that's, well, we've heard some of that, right? The journaling. What is key for you?
Well, my background as an accountant and financial controller, I've always kind of got that business thing in the back of my mind. And I really went into my masculine energy, to be honest. I would just go to people like Tony Robbins and Mel Robbins, for that matter, with just practical advice of how to shift myself when I was short on time, shift your state. So, and what I mean by that is, we can go from 0 to 600 really fast in our emotions. And there's sometimes when you can stop and analyze yourself and journal and whatever, but there's other times when you cannot, right? With like you're driving down the road and road rage hits. You don't have time to sit and you want to smash into the other guy, right? You need to be able to shift your mind and shift your behaviors really quickly. And so there's a number of different ways, but I really love how Tony Robbins talks about the significances and ways to change your physicality and your emotionality quickly and easily, so that you can have time to put it on the shelf and revisit it later.
What each of what you guys have said is just so beautiful and amazing ways to take that step forward. When you realize and can be aware of what you're feeling, and if you don't like it, then you need to make a decision, a choice to do something different. Otherwise, you're repeating those patterns and those habits, and you're going to end up in the same situation, the same relationship, same circumstance as before, and you're going to wind up again. How did I end up here? So myself, not even at the end of a relationship, but it was a different circumstance. And I knew that if I didn't fill my mind with positive thoughts, I didn't feel positive. I didn't want to be positive, but if I didn't fill it with positivity, I knew how my day was going to turn out. So I would start my morning off with some Lisa Nichols. Lisa Nichols is an amazing multi-mogul motivational speaker. And one of her famous lines is, "I will never be this broke or broken again." Now, that stopped me. And it's like, whoa. See, even now I get chills. And it's like, whoa, I need to listen to more of that. I need to, when you can't do it for yourself, borrow from somebody else until you get enough so that you can change your thoughts, change your patterns, change your life. So it's all about that intention, realizing and being aware and moving forward with intention. So seeing that vision, right, Chris? I mean, create that blueprint of how you want your life to look. What, if you can just create a quick summary of how you can create that vision of lasering in on what you want.
So I think it all becomes, very, very applicable with, like I said before, the SMART goals themselves. As long as you're developing something that is focused on exactly what you just said, Angie, like the actual thing that it is that your goal is, what kind of steps are you going to need to take in order to get to that goal? For instance, if you are looking to, because we talked about specifically community earlier and who you surround yourself with, right? We talked about how it's so important to have other people around us that are going to help nurture us through and give us that extra borrowed confidence we can borrow from them, or somebody who lights us up and makes us feel motivated a little bit more. What is our goal going to look like? We need to write that down. Like we said before, we need it to be very specific. So for instance, I need to identify 2 friends who share a similar experience that I can connect with on a regular basis. And I need to set a goal to meet with or check in with them at least once a week. And, how often is that going to be achievable for me? I want to keep that in mind. I want to also know that it's relevant to my goal, and that it's going to help me create more of a sense of belonging and emotional stability, and make sure that whatever it is that you're setting for yourself, that you're doing it with time in mind. Make it time bound so that when you are looking at, we talked about earlier, progress that you've achieved, you can say, I have achieved this goal, I've done these things, and it's been measured. So that's bringing it all full circle as far as creating that plan and that vision and making it actually into action.
That's amazing. You know what? Every single one of you has brought such amazing nuggets of truth to the table and for our viewers. There's more to cover, but we have just run so far past our time. So we're going to just cut it off there. But thank you so much, every one of you, for allowing space and bringing your wisdom, your knowledge, your expertise to the table and for our viewers. Can't thank each of you enough. So thank you so much. Dominique Laundrie, Chris Calla, Tracy Rickards. Their names will be on the credits at the end. Thank you again.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
As we wrap up our transformative series, Heartbreak to Hope, join us for our final episode, a celebration of resilience, courage, and inspiring stories of those who have not just survived divorce, but are thriving beyond it. Listen as we share incredible journeys of individuals who turned their pain into purpose, rebuilt their lives, and discovered newfound passions. From launching successful careers to finding love again, each story is a testament that there is life and hope after heartbreak. Get ready to be inspired, uplifted, and motivated to embrace your own journey as we explore how it's possible to emerge stronger, wiser, and ready to embrace the beautiful future that awaits. Don't miss this powerful conclusion. We'll celebrate the steps from heartache to healing. I want to take this time to thank the panelists once again. They took time out of their schedules to share insight and valuable nuggets of information for you, the audience. If you can please like, subscribe, and share your comments. Give us your feedback. What resonated with you on this episode? And what are you looking forward to for upcoming episodes? We want to hear from you. So please like, subscribe, and share your takeaways. But remember, no matter how bitter the ending may seem, your journey to better is just beginning. So until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Until next time.